Well, this is the first session of our good stuff. And by good stuff, I mean actual coding. We want to write our first code in this session. But before we jump into the pool and swim, we just need to know a couple of facts first, and then we will jump into the pool and we start coding. So the first thing that I want you to know is that HTML is a markup language. So when we say that, you just hear kind of blah 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 because you have no idea what do we mean by markup language. Or even HTML stands for hypertext markup language. What they even mean at all. So in order to find out, let's first see a website, and this is a web page from Wikipedia, and as you can see, this is a web page. So what we are going to do in this course, first of all, we need to learn how we can create web pages. And in any web page in the world, there are two types of things that we developers do. First of all, we like 70% of the time we are trying to display some data to users, because users, you open a page and they see some contents, some images, some text, anything. They read the content. So 70% of the time we are creating some content and we are displaying this data to the users. But 30% of the time we are trying to get some data from users. In your lifetime, you have so many times you have opened a web page, there's a form, you have typed some values in the form and you have submitted the form. So in 30% of the time you are actually receiving some data from users. So in both sections, in presenting data and receiving data from users, we actually we need to let's see an example about representing data. When we are representing some data to users, let's take a look at this webpage. You can see there are so many different types of presentation. For example, for the links, you can see they're blue and you immediately understand and realize that that's a link. You see some texts are in bold, in larger text. So when we are representing our data, or presenting our data and showing our data to users, we might want to show them differently. And in HTML we have so different tags for each purpose. For example, you will learn that we can use this tag for displaying some data normal, this tag for presenting some data to user in bold and or italic. So we just learn new tags. We call, say, hey, if you wrap your text inside this tag, the data you are presenting will have this style. It will be bold or italic. This has some style. So what we do actually in HTML, we have some content, it's whether it's a text or image or anything, we wrap them inside a tag, and each tag has its own effects, and we will learn. For example, B tag has this effect, it makes it bold. I tag makes it italic. So this is it. This is why they say HTML is a markup language. This is what they mean by markup language. We wrap our text inside two things that there are kind of markers. This is a markup language. We wrap our text inside two things that we call tag, an opening tag and a closing tag. And we might learn some tags are not double, single. We will see that, but this is an imagination of HTML, and this is what we mean by hypertext markup language. Okay, for start, I have created a folder here, and I can right click on this, and as you can see in show more option in context menu, you can see I have an option here, and it's open with VS Code. And if you do not have this option on your device, you can actually go ahead and open VS Code from wherever you want, and you can actually go on file and open folder, and there select your folder so that you can open the folder, because for start you need to have a folder selected and open that folder with VS Code, and it doesn't matter if the folder is empty or not, we just need to have a folder. So the first thing that we need to do, we are going to write some codes, right? So if we are going to write some codes, where should we write it? We need to first have a file, and we need to create a file, and inside that file we need to write our codes. We can go inside our Explorer and use our operating system to create new files and there. But since we're inside this VS Code here, and we want to do everything inside this VS Code here, so why bother going somewhere else? And because here actually we can actually click on this icon and create a new file here. This new file is located inside this HTML-CSS folder that we opened with VS Code. And well, we are going to create a file, right? And every file in the world, first of all, it has a name, and second, it has an extension, every file. For example, any file, MP3, MP4, MKV, any file should have its own extension. And the extension for the HTML file is actually HTML. And we can name our file, for example, we can name it something.html, but we can name it whatever we want, but it's recommended to name the main file of your project, call it index.html. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to call it index.html. And now that we have created our file, we can go inside this file and start to write some code. We can actually just write hello world with nothing, but HTML is a markup language, as we said before, and it means that we need to wrap everything inside some tags. So the span tag, let's learn this span tag. This span tag is used to have some text when you are going to write some text with no effect or no style. We usually use this span tag, and we write this hello world inside this span tag. We can save this file, and we can actually now see the result. But this is something very important here. Well, we created a file, we wrote some code inside this, but now it's time to, in fact, we can use the word execute. How can we execute or see the result of this code? We actually need to open this index.html file with a browser, whether it's a Firefox or Chrome or anything else. So we need to go inside our Explorer, we need to open this folder, and we need to open this file with our browser. And as you can see, Google Chrome has already set the default program to open HTML files. And when I hit double click on it and I open this file, as you can see, it's now opened with Google Chrome. So if you haven't already set Google Chrome for HTML files, it's just a good idea to set this. And if you don't know how to do that, you can just go ahead and search how to set default app for HTML files, and you can set that. So this is it. We actually wrote our first application, and this is the simplest application where we just print out a hello world, and this is it. This is the simplest thing that we could have. But the point is, we just opened a span tag and write our hello world inside this. And well, in a real world, that's not how HTML files look. We need to have a structure in our codes. And this HTML structure is something that we need to understand now. First of all, if you go to any website and read the source code, you will see that all of the websites have a HTML tag, and they write their code inside that HTML tag. And this HTML tag has two sections, one a head section and the other one a body section. And well, the question is, why do we do that, and why we have two separate sections, a head section and a body section? Well, the thing that is, well, because we have different type of data or different types of tags, you need to know that in HTML we are providing some data to user and to a browser. So one type of data is for the user, and that will be written inside body, but the other type of data are some data that provided for the user, for the browser or search engines or things like that. For example, title tag. As you can see here in our file that we just created, a Hello World app that we had, the title of the browser tab is index.html, the name of the file. When we do not have any title tag inside our head section, well, browser just uses the name of the file, but we can use actually a title tag in order to customize this. So let's get back actually to the codes that we have, and inside our head section, well, it should be inside the head section because we are providing some data for the browser. We are saying, hey browser, you should use this piece of text for the title of this tab, and we can actually customize the title and save the file and go back and see the result. And as you can see now, the title is customized, and this icon that is being used for the title of the web browser tab is something that we need to customize in future as well. And this is it. Now that we know about head section, let's compare head section and body section with each other. As you can see, the head section is for we told you for this search engine optimization, or we are basically talking to the browser. But in body section, we are basically talking to the user, and we are providing some content, whether it's text, image, video, a stylet. We are providing data for our user, endpoint user. So this is the difference. And so let's get back to our codes and put that hello world that we have inside our body, because it is something that user should see. So we can use that span tag that we had, and with the hello world inside that, and let's save and see the result, and this is it. So our code is almost proper and almost perfect, because there's only one thing that is missing from our structure, because we said we need to have a structure in our HTML code, and there's one thing missing, and we need to fix that too. And but before we go on, there's something that I want you to notice for yourself. You can see all the tags that we have used in this, they are all double. And double tag, by double tag I mean they have one opening tag and they have one closing tag, as you can see. But there are also some tags that they are single tags and they do not have opening and closing tag. For example, let's see one of them, and it's actually HR tag. And this HR tag, it does nothing except it just draws a horizontal line, and as you can see, this is the result that we have. And another thing that I want to say about this single tags is that some people actually use this slash at the end of their almost at the end of their tags, and they're pretty much the same, and we cannot say which one is correct way and which one is the wrong way. They're both correct, and feel free to use any syntax that you like, whether you like to have that slash or whether you don't like to have that slash. It's just up to you. And as you can see, now that we have put the slash, the result is exactly the same, and this is it. So let's get back to that missing thing that we were talking about. There's something that is missing from our code, and let's actually open this Wikipedia page. And in this page, if we hit Control U, we will see the source code of this web page. And don't freak out when you see all of these codes here, and don't worry, because you will be able to understand all of these codes pretty much very simply at the end of this course. So don't freak out. So this is it. This is and if you take a look at this source code, you will see that there's something at the top of the document, and it's doc type HTML. And this doc type HTML does nothing except that it's telling the browser that we are using version 5 of HTML. It's just kind of stupid to put that there, but since everyone does that, let's do it too, and we need to have this doc type HTML. As you can see, everything that we wrote HTML code is in lowercase, but some people use this doc type HTML, they use uppercase inside. As this doc type HTML is just an exception, is a single tag that you put at the top of your code. But in HTML, try to use lowercase for your code. For example, these tags that we opened, just please use lowercase. It's okay. But HTML is not case sensitive. It means that you are not forced to actually use uppercase or lowercase, but it's best and it's recommended to use lowercase inside our code, except there's only one exception for that doc type HTML you see up there. So this is it. We can actually come back and let's sum up what we learned in this session. And if we sum up what we learned, you will see that first of all, HTML is a markup language, and we now understand that when we know what do we mean by markup language. We have tags and wrap the texts inside those tags, those double tags, of course. And some of tags are double, some of them are single. Some tags should be placed inside head, some of them should be inside body. And the last thing, that the HTML is not case sensitive, and except the only that exception, that doc type. So this is it. This is all I wanted you to learn in this session. And if you know this all, congratulations, you're good to go, and hope to see you in the next session.